Hi, everybody. It's Ed
and Krista
from the Krista and Ed Show, and we are so excited today. We have some special guests. They truly are a power couple hailing from near Portland, Oregon, and they have 3 kids, and they have over 10 years of coaching between couples coaching, business and entrepreneurship coaching, as well as stuff around health and wellness. Really, between the two of you, you encompass everything. So we're so excited to have you here today. So Scott, Tawnya Landis, welcome. And would love to hear your story and how you've gone on this journey to working together and truly being a power couple.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited.
So our story, all the way back to the beginning, it goes to, we met in high school. I was a senior and she was a freshman. And
it was just, a few years ago too.
4 years ago. No.
And there was, from the main school building, there was a modular building that there was a bit of a walk between. And there was one freshman class and one senior class in that modular building. So I saw her walking to that class regularly, and I figured out how to get into a conversation with her. And I was a very shy individual, but she was friends with somebody I knew, so I had it in.
Oh, yeah.
And then I called her one day and said, hey, are you going to the school dance? And she's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know.
I was wondering.
But we did end up going to the dance, and my only reason for going to the dance because I was hoping she'd be there. She was. I asked her to dance. We had our first kiss, and it's kind of been good since then. Been a roller coaster since then, but we'll just ignore all those bad parts.
Yeah, so we met in high school, and then we actually met and had that dance that he's talking about. That was December of 1992. So it's kind of fun because we decided to become boyfriend girlfriend on Christmas Day of 92, and then we got married in 99, so we are coming up on our 21st wedding anniversary next month. So we're super excited. Yeah, we have 3 kids, and we both come from corporate backgrounds, and we had great jobs. Like everything was all like planned out. We were going to retire from these amazing careers that we worked so hard, through college to get, and then we realized that that wasn't the plan anymore. After being in those jobs for a while, and realizing that we had a passion for entrepreneurship, and we ended up becoming entrepreneurs in 2001, and we've built businesses together. We've had our own businesses. Currently, we each have our own companies, and then we have a company together. It's all under the same, but that's how it's ran. And we've been doing that for a while. And so it's been, like you said, it's been a roller coaster. And as we love roller coasters. So you got to go down sometimes to go on the up. And it's been an adventure. And then you add some kids into it. And so.
On the edge.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me about the businesses. What is it that you guys do, and where have you found your passions?
Well, so I'm a partner in a business coaching firm and called Kingdom Business Coaching, and we started that in 2014. And I'm involved in a funnel building little venture also with a couple of guys. So I have a couple of minority roles in a couple of companies. And then together we have basically as you alluded to in the intro, kind of a holistic coaching system process. So she works a lot with women. I work a lot with men, and then together we work a lot with couples. And when it comes to the coaching that we do, we take a 360 view, look at the entire life. We look at health and fitness. We look at what are the areas of relationship you want to work on, what are the areas of experiencing freedom in your life. And everyone that we work with, across the board, regardless of, what brand or what entity it is, our target market is all about people that want to make an impact on the world. People are looking to, experience fulfillment through growth and contribution into something that matters to them. So that's what we help people do. And then we kind of like break it down, like, here's the things that are holding you back. Let's work on that to make a big impact. Besides that, so we have a brand called Marriage Architects that we work with couples on. We do a program for men called Awaken Man. Tawnya is a health and fitness coach. She's certified in nutrition and some workout programs, and also certified as a somatic sex coach. So she's got that part that she brings to our couples, and we work with intimacy and all that stuff too. So did I leave anything out?
So how do you guys work with them? Like, do you guys do events or masterminds? Like, is it one-on-one? Like in a group
Question. We do all of it. And it depends on, we do needs-based coaching. We don't try to fit everyone into the same box. So when we do our intake process, we figure out what's best for the client. And sometimes that is working one-on-one with us. Sometimes it's working with us as a couple. Other times it's coming into, we have an exclusive mastermind, a private mastermind that we run, and we screen everybody that comes into it to make sure that it's a safe environment, because it's a pretty great group.
like no swinging or anything like that, right?
No, we don't. We're not into that. No.
I just wanted to make sure.
No, we actually
cut this out.
We've had people like approach us about that, but we are.
That's why I said as soon as you said, the private mastermind, right, and screening.
Yeah, that's about leveling up your family and your marriage and your business, and that one usually brings in like other entrepreneurs and we're international, and so we're usually all on Zoom. We're not in person.
Yeah.
But we're a monogamous couple. We actually went and spoke at a retreat in Greece, in Mykonos, in 2018, and we were on a panel of how to make monogamy work in this day and age, because that's our lifestyle choice. People really wanted to know. So it's totally.
Well, it was a panel about making relationships work.
Yeah.
And we were representing monogamy as a viewpoint, and there were other.
Yeah, there were other lifestyles on there as well. But our mastermind group is.
I'm so sorry. I say things. I don't mean to. They just come out.
You know what? It's fine, because people ask us all the time. I mean, because I am, I do have the sex coaching. Trust me, like I have like tons of conversations around different realms, and people always want to know.
And you name whatever lifestyle choice Tawnya has worked with.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of different lifestyle choices, and a lot of people have asked me a lot of different things, and so you don't have to apologize.
And it's actually a very relevant and near to our heart, thing to mention, because I mean, not only in our own story that we considered other things, right? Because there was a point in our marriage where we hit a rock bottom, and we were like, how do we fix this? And so we looked at all sorts of options, and we realized for us, we actually re-chose monogamy, but we talk about a different kind of monogamy called awakened monogamy or conscious monogamy, just like a really intentional monogamy. And so, which is a relevant topic today. And we're not against any other, we're friends with polyamorous and swinging, and we're friends with.
We are too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just what we've what we've chosen. And but yeah, so back to your question, we do one-on-one meetings, we do in person, we have an office, and then we also do a lot of, obviously, like video, because we have clients all over the world. And then we have our masterminds that are working on relationships. And because here's the deal that and we've done we do retreats as well, and we've spoken several, we've done our own, so we kind of do a little bit of everything, because everybody has like a different, like I said, needs-based coaching, what the client needs. But one thing that it's really important to us is a lot of times, and we were this way for a while, we're both workaholics, we're both achievers, we both love to write out like all these goals, and we love hitting them, but and that's the kind of people we typically attract. But we can't forget about the important relationships, and that's where we bring in like marriage architects and like working with family and making sure that being the parents that our kids need, and the legacy that we want to leave them, as well as our relationship together. Because if you can build this amazing business, which is the point where we got to, the year that we had the most problems was the year that we made like a lot of money and a lot of impact on other people, but we had forgotten about our focus on the relationship. And that's where we want to help entrepreneurs, CEOs. I work with a lot of doctors and lawyers, and making sure that they're also focused on here's how your family and your marriage and those relationships. So
I love that you have it tailored. We kind of have the same sort of view as well. Like when we started working together, it was like, our passion really is, maybe it's like this place we are in life too, right? Where it's like, because we've gone through different cycles in our relationship, where when we first met, we both were employees. Do you know what I mean? In the corporate world. He had been in business and stuff before, but at that time, that's what it was. And then he ventured off and started our ad agency and stuff with another partner. And I was still an employee. So I didn't have, even though I know now that I'm an entrepreneur, and I always was, right? I never stepped into it. So there was a lot of conflict with us in the sense of like, I didn't understand like why he couldn't turn it off. Like at nighttime, why is he worried about, other people's families and payroll and all that stuff, right? When I'm like, I'm a new mom, I need all your attention, Then when I stepped into it, I'm like, we're both these crazy people who can't sleep at night and whatever, Yeah. But one of the things that we've tied into the people we work with as well that's important is, I just realized that every family has a different dynamic, whether you work together or not. And I think sometimes, the wife can sometimes maybe speak to the other wife or even to the husband in the way that he can't. First of all, just to understand, like, this is normal dynamic, like sometimes that's all we need to know is that, okay, the world is not ending. I don't need to get divorced because we're never going to be on the same page. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I love that you say that, because I totally can feel that and relate to it. And we bring that forward too, only because we've lived through it, and I understand that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of success in entrepreneurship for a lot of people is at the impact of their family and their marriage and their love life.
Well, usually you're doing it, most of us, if you stop and think, right? Even if you started a business before you had kids, once you do, your why turns into that. It's for your family. So that's where we were at. We're like, why are we both like going this way with our businesses and putting everything all in there and forgetting about this and really our kids, So we're like, we need to like change things. And our family, our friends still probably watching or listening, like they're like, you're crazy. Why would you do that? Like, why would you sell this business? Why would you? It's like, because like, there's more to the future, and we had to step back and be like, okay, we have to build something around our family that is going to work as well. And we know that we have like ways we can help people do that, right? So anyways, long story short, I love it.
Yeah. So what are some of the tactics that you use to work together? Like you have separate businesses, but then you have businesses together, and then you're juggling family. Like how
Do you have like
that?
morning meetings, or how do you guys like stay on task together, or do you? Yeah.
The or do you part is relevant for sure. But strategically, what we do is we have weekly just calendar sync meetings. Like, okay, what does this week look like? And we typically look at the week ahead too. So that we kind of check in on that on a daily basis. But at least once a week, we're like syncing up calendars. And we can see each other's calendars, but as far as like, all these moving parts, different businesses, different kids' activities, different schedules ourselves, stuff that we do together, stuff not together, we just get synced up and move stuff around if we need to. So that's a once a week thing. And then we have slated for 2 times a week to like just have like a business meeting in the morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that is, not happening like clockwork. But, it's like, at least if we get one of those a week, I feel like successful. And so we put 2 on there a week, knowing that it's not always gonna like it's an hour meeting on the calendar, but in reality, it's usually like 32 minutes, right? And we just need that time to touch base on a business level so that, most of the time we can be husband and wife. And then of course, relationship for us, again, we practice what we preach for our clients, right? So we want to make an impact on the world, but that isn't as important as a relationship. So it's always foundational. What is our relationship? Where are we at relationship wise? Do we need, a date? Do we need a bedroom date? Do we need a get out of the house date? Do we need a,
I was just going to say, do you guys go on regular dates?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we have all sorts of different kinds of dates, right? So,
okay, so out of the house date, bedroom date, I heard. What's the other kind of date?
One of the best is like we try to do about once a month a stay-at-home date where we get kids out of the house, like overnight childcare, and we don't have to go anywhere. And make dinner at home, and then after that we just hang out, and we don't have to take care of anyone. It's amazing.
Those are actually my favorate kind.
Yeah, they're such great. I mean, it doesn't always happen. It's our intention, and like we just had one actually for and we because it's kind of an act of God sometimes to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, come on, guys. And somebody doesn't, get sick or whatever happens. And so we aim for that. And it's just to kind of give us like, oh, we can relax and be connected. And another date that we're really intentional about staying connected and not, because a lot of times in relationships when stuff gets stressful, at least for me, I'm the person that walls up. And then, we're both actually pretty good at walling up. And then, so we have to stay intentional about like, I need some connection time. Like I need like 10 to 15 minutes, and because with the businesses and honestly with the kids, like we just came off a really long holiday break. And, prior to that, it seemed like, we were in no school November. I don't know if you guys have that where you're at, but like basically in November, they have a lot of days off. And then December, they rarely go. And then we also have, which we love our kids, but we also love each other. And we're like, we need like 5 minutes where there's not someone knocking on our door. And just be able to have a conversation and connect on that level. And so we're very intentional about that, and it can get, it can take work and it can get frustrating because.
I love, because I know we mentioned at the beginning, you guys are, like high school sweethearts.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's been in a relationship longer than, a day knows that they take work, right? And as time goes on, and like you said, you add kids and just different things in life happening, I think it's more and more important to be intentional. So would you say, I mean, you couldn't have always been intentional. Like, was there a point in your relationship where you guys were like, hey, like we need to make this a priority or things are not gonna end up well? Like, is there a point where something happened that you can remember? Like, was it like 5 years ago, a child was born, or you know what I mean?
Well, we've been through the ebbs and flows. Like we've been through, where we had a very sick child, and it was just survival.
Yes.
We've actually been through, a business that we were in the real estate business in 2008. I think most people know what happened then.
Yeah.
We survived that, but it actually, we had a point in our relationship where we actually considered divorcing. And we had just gotten to a point where we were both felt like not satisfied. We felt like we wanted different things. Like I said, we were both workaholics, and we just got to this point where we actually ended up on our bathroom floor talking about how we were going to tell our family and specifically our children that mom and dad were ending. And the interesting thing about that is that we had all this experience and training in all these different marriage studies and films, and here we were on the floor, and our divorce wouldn't have been it would have impacted a lot of lives because we had helped so many married couples. And
we've been coaching couples for about 10 years, and this is about 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago, and we were like, okay,
then you probably had feelings of like, oh my gosh, like how could we have helped them and taken their money and their time, and
the faith.
Yeah, that's hard.
We weren't being intentional in our relationship, and we'd gotten very we had, everyone else would say we had a good marriage, but that's the thing is good, and being achievers, we want great, spectacular, high level, and
we had functional, very functional,
transactional. We were very transactional,
and ran our household like one of our businesses. So it was moving smoothly. It was just something at our core we weren't feeling fulfilled, and we didn't really have. Looking back, we can explain it, but at the time we were just lost. I don't know why this isn't working for me, and we both felt that way.
How did we get here? What?
And it was a very helpless situation because, again, we already had all the tools, we thought, and so we sort of had to reinvent our approach, and that's actually Marriage Architects was born out of that. Once we figured out what really was missing and what would work, and now how do we help other couples do that? That's when we started Marriage Architects, because Marriage Architects is only about 3 or so years old.
Yeah, the curriculum is born out of that, and then also working with other some other couples, but we just felt like we were really hopeless, and like I said, on our bathroom floor, but then we realized what, we love each other, and we love this life, and we know where divorce goes because we've seen it with clients and friends, and and it's also not easy, and we need to make sure that when we look our kids in their eyes that we say mom and dad did everything they could. We weren't at that point, and that's what we did at that point is we're going all in to try. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try. And that was our intention, and it was some of the hardest work we've ever done, but our relationship is at a completely different level now because of that work, and it's somewhere that I never knew even existed. And through that, we've also been able to help so many other couples because of that, place that we experienced.
Yeah. I think it's important. I think, and that's why I asked the question, right? Because like I said, anybody who's been in a relationship, I think you go through stuff, right? And sometimes it's oh, the grass would just be greener on the other side, and but no, the impact, and especially the kids, right? And so the work you're doing with couples, I think, is very important, and you can come from a place of experience, right? Which it's some of those things a lot of people don't want to talk about, right? you know, us as well, nothing's perfect. I would never say that, right? But like, a lot of people have always looked to us like, oh my God, you have such a great marriage, everything, you know, and I'm like, yeah, keep watching Facebook, you know what I mean?
I know, it's interesting.
Like, yeah, because we can present ourselves well and we have respect for each other, but like, that's not necessarily what's going on in your heart, right? So, yeah, I think it's important work and it's always evolving.
Yeah, and that's, you know, and that's something I also think people have to realize, that even though once you think you got it, I know we talked a little bit about this before we started, but there's always another season of life. Like right now we're navigating, you know, our business. We have a couple of our businesses are growing rapidly at the same time, whereas before it was like one business was growing, one was steady, but we're in like growth mode in a couple of them right now. And we're raising a teenager and a tween, and then we've got another one. And I'm just like, you know, you throw the teenage and the tween thing in there, and you're just like, oh my goodness gracious. And, you know, and so, you know, we're having to be really intentional about, you know, our priorities and where we're spending our time and who we're taking on as clients and family. And because you can do a lot, but you can't, you know, that whole thing about, oh, you can do it all, you know, like we have to figure out what your all is, you know, and define that and be realistic. And so, you know, that's the season that we're in right now. Like raising a teenager is a really hard stage of parenting. So, it's a real, I knew it was going to be hard, but I wasn't prepared for how hard.
Always like, oh, you're so good, but I was a teenager. I know you're lying to me.
Well, and you're preparing them to live in the real world in just a few years. Like, I mean, I certainly thought I knew everything at that age.
Yeah.
My kids are the same. So,
yeah.
As you get older, you realize you know less and less. Really, it's funny. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't believe I moved out at that age, and like, you know, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and so, you know, you have to navigate those new seasons of life when something, you know, something changes or somebody gets sick or, you know, something happens. So even if you think you have all the tools and it all figured out, there's always like another thing coming up. Like we talked about the roller coaster, but you got to go, you know, you got to go down to go up and down, you know, and that's the fun of life. If it was just straight the whole time, it'd be pretty darn
so boring.
Yeah, right? Yeah. If you don't have those valleys, then you don't really truly cherish the peaks that you get, you know. It's interesting, we were talking to about, like, you know, there's so much prevalence to social media too, and like we put out stuff on social media and people perceive you a certain way, and I think that a lot of people have a false perspective as to what an ideal life is or an ideal marriage is, or it can look great on the outside. You could be in a tropical place, you know, or wherever, but be in the lowest point in your relationship. So I think it's really interesting, this conversation about that. Like, we all have these peaks and valleys and struggles and the whole hard work. Really, marriage is hard work, but with that comes great reward, right?
And you do have to date your wife.
Yeah. I did ask you on a date 2 days ago, but you didn't answer, so
I don't know what I'm doing that day.
We have talked about that whole being intentional on the dating part.
But it is hard. It is hard with the kids, and I feel like a lot of times when we have free time, like we want to spend it with the kids, right? But we're like, okay, we're gonna go weekly, and then we get off track with it. But I think it's more and more important. But now, you know what? Like, yeah. Anyways, doesn't matter. We'll have to call you and join your program if we want to talk more about this.
You have to find what a date looks like. A lot of times people think it is like this, you know,
spend all this money. Yeah.
Like going out to dinner, but we'll be 100% honest with you. Sometimes it's dropping, you know, we're dropping kids off because we're their personal Uber service at night. And we'll drop a kid off at like practice, and we're like, oh, you know what? We have like free 45 minutes free or 1 hour free. Let's go grab a quick happy hour at, such and such place. And like one of the waiters down at the local restaurant knows us really well. Is he's like, oh, did you drop your kids off? Like, because he knows, he knows we are a limited amount of time and we're just there like getting a quick date in. Or sometimes it's, now I know there might be some judgment here, but we do have a lock on our bedroom door and we put up a do not, all our kids are at the age where they can read. And we put do not disturb. Scott wrote it on a piece of printer paper in Sharpie, we have it taped to the outside of the door. And the kids know that mommy and daddy, it's do not disturb time. Now, we do have a child that does know how to pick locks.
Oh,
yes.
We have two.
Yeah. And we let them know like, hey, this is mom and dad time. And we're just taking some time to, in our room, and we could be chatting, we could be doing other things, but just to have like also setting that boundary with our kids now that they aren't toddlers and babies anymore, because I want my kids when they're older to know it's okay to be with your spouse. Like it's okay for, mom and dad to be a husband and a wife. And I want to teach them that. And so, we do that as well. And that has worked. So if you just want to get like a quick, 30 minutes to an hour of time, just let your kids know, hey, and it's going to be frustrating because sometimes you'll hear them knocking or they're sticking notes under the door, but they get it after a while. And that's actually been helpful when, we're not able to get out of the house or not able to get childcare or whatever, or somebody is, we had our kids went through the cycle of illness at the beginning of the school year where they weren't all sick at the same time. They all took turns. So it was like 3 weeks of having kids.
Of course.
So those are just some ideas, but it doesn't have to be like an expensive dinner downtown and get all fancy. It can just be like a quick date or a quick coffee date.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, my mom came here for, I don't know, she's in the area, so she stopped by to visit. And then, of course, right away, the kids were like, Grandma, I want to go to your house. So she's like, okay, let's go. And we realized we're like, oh my gosh, like it's just us, right? It was like 4:00 in the afternoon and we're like, what are we going to do? Well, we're not cooking supper. That's great. But you know what? Like we both were like, should we go out to eat? And we're both like, no, like let's just stay home. So we just like ordered food. And I think we were sleeping by 9:00. Like it was nothing, whatever, but it was like, I had like the best sleep of my life because like our little ones still, come in our bed in the middle of the night. And so sometimes, so then of course I felt guilty because I'm like, oh man, this was our opportunity. We could have like, I don't know, pretended like we first met, but no, I'm like, good night.
But there's another side to it, because the other day, like I've been thinking a lot of like being intentionally affectionate and attending to her, and so it was funny. This is 2 days ago. Like I grabbed her and I'm giving her a kiss. We're laying in our bed, and I'm giving her a kiss, and our 8-year-old comes in and she's like smirking and she's so happy, and then she's putting her heads together, and then she leaves and she goes to get something to eat, and she's standing on. We have this kind of chase in our bedroom. And she's standing there and she's like, don't mind me.
She's like, I'm just here for the show. More drama. I'm like, who are you? And what are you watching on?
She's like, I'm so happy to see you guys kissing. So your kids need to see that
they
too,
see
right?
that. They know when you're more connected and stuff too.
Yeah, they do. And they make comments, and I mean, we hear it, we hear it all. And sometimes they joke with us, and like our little one's like, yeah, daddy's always grabbing mommy's butt, and and I'm like, but then I have to think like, you know what, it's okay, like, and I'm like, yeah, but they like to tease us, especially our older one. He's
the innuendo. Yeah.
But we do want, I just think a lot of times I know that when I thought, oh, well, I have to like have my kids, my kids have to be my primary focus. And they are one of my primary focuses, but also our relationship is important because,
first.
No matter what happens, we're raising these kids and we're raising them together, and we're on the same team. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easy to slide off of not being on the same team unless you.
It is. And when you've got, I know you guys have multiple as well, when you've got a bunch of them too, and you're just, sometimes it's really chaotic. You gotta, it's helpful if you're on the same team and not opposing teams. So.
All right. So question for you guys. What would you say is your superpower? So either together, but I'm assuming you both have individual superpowers.
Yeah.
It's a hard question, I know, but.
Yeah, I'd say probably best to answer it individually. I mean, when we're a couple, working with a couple, it really magnifies, I think. But what I describe my superpower as is, you know, I've found that I have a ability to kind of look into the soul of people, and even where they're not conscious or aware of their own stuff. Like I'm good at, and of course I have to ask questions. It's not just like I'm psychic or something. I'm asking questions, but I'm good at going deep into the soul of a person and helping them discover who they are. Because to me, it's all about, you know, understanding your identity and lining your life to that. And that's an element of fulfillment, right? So if I can help people that are struggling with whatever and say, okay, hey, look at, this is who I see you are. This is who you are. Does that look like you? And they're like, yeah, that's it. That's what I feel, right? And then from there, in using a coaching skill just to help them like line everything up to that. But helping people like really get to the heart and the root of what's going on, whether it's an identity thing or a relationship dynamic thing.
Yeah.
You know, I know that just over years of experiencing it, I know that that's actually a superpower, not just something that, you know, comes natural to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, our clients call him Yoda. They're like, oh yeah, I just did that. Scott just did his thing. And they're like, I was like wrecked for a second. But now I'm like, whew. It's pretty incredible to watch too. Sometimes we'll be in a couple session and I'm just like, wow. But yeah, we're polar opposite. If you give us any tests, we're going to come out 100% different. And so that's our superpower together, is they get all of it packaged. We're a good team. And I would say my superpower is that I'm a strategist. Like my brain constantly looks at the end. Where do you want to go? What is it that you want? And then I have it mapped all the way out in my brain. Like I'm total strategist. That's what I did in corporate. That's what I've done like in, you know, to build my companies, curriculums, everything. But I'm constantly thinking in strategies and how, you know, when people tell me, or if I'm looking at, okay, this is what we want to do, I'll, you know, be able to figure it out, but also flexible because there's always going to be obstacles.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I love asking that question. Those are great superpowers because I think it's a good thing for people to kind of look into, because a lot of times things that come very easy to us doesn't to other people.
Yeah.
So, you know, like Scott, what you're just talking about, like, I love that you do that to people because like we don't see ourselves the same way sometimes, right? So to go in and just like pull that out and be like, all right, here, just like work on this and focus on that and the world will be a better place. You know?
I know, it's awesome. That's a great question. I love it.
And strategy and problem solving.
That's why you two would get along really good together, because you're very much a strategist.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, like to a fault sometimes, right? Like I always say, if I had to explain my brain, it would be like a car or like a motorbike doing a burnout, right? Like my brain's always like, you know, looking at all the angles and sometimes the things that you don't need to do that with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you have a question for us by any chance?
Yeah, what are your guys' superpowers? I want to know.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I think one of my superpowers is relationship building. Like I seem to be able to connect with people, sincerity, and just build a rapport and find little like connect with people's different personalities and build that rapport. It's hard for some people to do that, but I have a superpower in building relationships. I think that's one of my top superpowers.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Like you walk in a room and Ed has 8 best friends. I'm like, what? I'm still looking for one. You know? Yeah, no, you're good at that. My superpower, you know, I feel like whenever I think about it, sometimes it changes, but I would say my true superpower in a sense is that like I truly believe that everything is possible. So I have a really hard time with the words like I can't or I shouldn't or I won't. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, now taking action and implementing is one thing, but like I really believe there's no ceiling, right? And also because of that, like I think that I've developed a really good skill for problem solving and also change. I'm really good with change. And I've realized a lot of people aren't. So for me, it's become a superpower, especially in business, because I'm able to move quickly and pivot, you know, when I need to. So, but it's good to have him on my side because when I'm like climbing in the sky, he's pulling me down. You know, we balance each other that way. So I'm like, what do you mean we can't do that? Yes, we can. This is how.
Okay, literally, what, 4 weeks ago, I'm in the bathroom. I get a knock on the door from my 5-year-old boy, and he's like, Dad, I'm packing to go to Mexico. Are you going to come with us? And I'm like, what? And literally, I come out where everybody's packing to go. She was like, okay, we're going to Mexico. See ya.
He's like, what? I'm like, we're leaving in the morning in 12 hours. If you
Not
want,
10 hours.
I'm like
10 hours.
If you're coming, you can. If you don't want to, I can't get a refund. He's like, and I'm like, are you fighting me or are you packing? Like, we gotta go.
So,
I love that. I did that to Scott with Santorini.
yeah.
And he, because I wanted to go to Santorini for my 40th. And I was like, I woke up in the morning, I'm like, we're going. And he's like, and he just, what is it you tell yourself all the time? Because he's a planner. He likes to plan things and have it mapped out. And I'm like, I feel like I want to go here. And I can't tell you why, but we're going there. And he's like,
Yeah.
It was the same thing because it was my 40th birthday. And I was like, you know what? There was 2 reasons. Number one, I was so scared he was going to throw me a 40th birthday party. And I was like, I don't want attention.
we're in Mexico.
I'm like, if I leave during my birthday, then I can't be at the party, right? And I was like, you know what? I want to swim with dolphins on my 40th birthday. And there's no dolphins in Canada. So I had to.
Too chilly.
It was the best birthday ever. I loved it. So.
Yeah, it was good. And now we've decided, okay, all of the big.
But now my kids think that's what you do. So
birthdays.
My son's 5. His birthday's coming in April. He's like, Mom, can we go to Mount Everest for my birthday? I'm like, no.
Scarlett, a pizza party. And
Scarlett, Mom, can we go to Tony Robbins Island for my birthday? No. Well, what about my 10th birthday? That's no. Like,
yeah.
I waited 40 years to go to Mexico.
Yeah, we've done that with our kids, and then they're like, when are we going on a trip? I'm like, we just went on a cruise to the Caribbean. And they're like, that was like 6 months ago. And I'm like, you guys.
I know.
I'm like, yeah. Well, yeah, we love traveling, but also our kids have gotten they've had a lot of fun things. But yeah, our Santorini trip was just us.
Right.
By the way, do that.
It's like so romantic. It is. We've been a lot of places, and but literally you cannot even describe like the sunrise and the sunset. When you're in Santorini, you got to stay in the caldera. It's like
write this down.
It just brings out erotic.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Don't take your kids. Go as a couple. Because it's very romantic, and we take our kids a lot of places, but it's definitely like, I just recommended it to another client and they're going, and in a couple months for a big celebration. And I was like, yeah, this is the spot. And but when we were doing that, I was like, I don't know how we're getting there. And literally, like, we got there, but he has to tell himself the whole time. He's like, it's going to be okay. Don't think about it.
He thanks you for it, doesn't he? Then he says, this was a great idea. And you're like,
but he, like, when we got there and I there wasn't any hotels and I wanted a very particular view. So I had to walk around and make sure I could find the view I wanted. And so I got him some wine, and I'm like, just have some wine and have like some food, and I'll be back. Yeah. We're gonna have this beautiful hotel. Like, don't worry about it. And he's just like, okay. So
we're like,
okay,
I'm the same.
Can I ask you guys, what is your sign? Like your birthday signs?
Gemini.
And I'm Aquarius.
Okay. Yeah, we're not the same. Cool.
What are you guys?
I'm a Taurus.
And I'm a Scorpio.
Oh, cool.
I don't know too much about all that. I was just curious because I'm like, I feel like we can connect so well.
Yeah, I know, it's awesome. Yeah, I am a Gemini, so I got a little bit of the good crazy and a little bit of the bad crazy. But Scott always says that to get the crazy, that he loves it. So
yeah, the good crazy is well worth the bad crazy.
Right. So whenever he's telling me, these things,
I'm writing that quote down.
I'm not being rational about. I'm like, do you remember when we first met? You told me you loved how spontaneous I was, how honest I was. So you can't put that in my face now. It's who I am.
And I think, I mean, and Scott will say, my life would have been so predictable if I wouldn't have married you.
Oh, yeah. It'd be so boring, Scott.
Yeah.
No,
I would probably I'd probably be living like all sorts of different places. Like he helps ground me.
No, it's good. It is good to have that.
We're moving again. The kids would be like, no, Mom.
You like to move too.
Yeah, I like moving, but we did promise our kids that they could our two oldest, they could finish high school where we live now. So
yeah,
we're on the plan. So
she gets itchy feet. She'd like to move.
Oh yeah. I'm always like that, but yeah, same with the kids. My daughter, like one of her best friends, lives next door. So honestly, if it wasn't for that, I probably would have sold the house already. Not because I don't love my house and everything, but I don't know. I have this itch to always change, and it's good and it's bad, right? So yeah.
It is what it is, and that's okay. And we just tell ourselves, we're like, we can, once the kids are out, we'll figure it out, and we'll probably move into like a tiny home so they don't try to come back.
I'm getting a motorhome and I'm going on the
Yes.
road. I actually want to do that now, but
we did that. We tried that actually with our kids. You traveled to Oregon. We made it to Medford before I had like a breakdown. So.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I just rent my house up for a year and do it.
Well, he wanted to live in. He was like, "We can like get this motorhome." We had a Class A. It was beautiful. It was amazing. And we're gonna homeschool the kids, and we're gonna.
Was that the idea?
I go, and I'm pretty like, yeah, we're gonna have adventure. Like, I'm an adventure. I love to adventure. And I was like, we're gonna be in a motorhome with our kids, like without a separate room, like not a separate motorhome. And he's like, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And we literally, I think it was 2013, and we made it to Medford, and I was like, let me out! I like walked around the door. Yeah, it was just, the kids were just being kids, and but we joke about it because we did like a week and a half, and we're like, yeah, we can just run this. But we did do something crazy in 2015. We sold our home, we sold our car, we like sold most of our possessions or gave them away, and all we had was our possessions in a pod. And then my parents have a motorcycle trailer. So that's what we condensed everything down to. And we bought one-way tickets to Europe. And we traveled around, and we were interviewed on a couple other podcasts for that. Because people were like, you guys are really cool, but that's really crazy. And we took all 3 kids with us, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, but
Just to experience that, right? And I don't know.
Those are the things you can't take back. All those memories that you're giving the children and yourself. Like,
yeah, we did it at the right ages, and it was amazing. But yeah, now our kids are like, we want to do high school in the same high school, and like,
Yeah, I know.
with all
our 17-year-old was like, we were looking at motorhomes in the fall last year, and she's like, I could fit in this closet. It's like, because it was like a retro bed, but it was kind of a closet. And she's like, I could fit in that closet. We'll be fine. I'm going, oh.
awesome. Yeah, there's so many, I mean, those are the memories. Like we still talk about them, and you know, and now we do other trips with them. But yeah, we definitely, the kids, like our oldest is like, you know,
more stability too. I think at different stages. And stuff.
Yeah, it's just different stages of life. He thought it was pretty cool when he was younger, and then now he's like, you know, I want to be with my friends. And our daughter's best friend also lives by her, like 2 houses up from us. So same thing. If we, I'm pretty sure that she would be devastated. So yeah.
Yeah, no, anytime we even talk about it or I show the kids a picture or something, Scarlett's like, well, only if Legia's coming with us. I'm like, I don't think mom's going to let her. Like maybe when she's 16, I don't know what kind of teenager she's going to be. But,
Exactly. That's awesome.
Anyway, time goes by so fast, right? So whenever I get that itch, I always try to say, okay, this isn't just about me. Because I know once I get there anyways, I'm going to want to go somewhere else. So let's just focus here.
Yeah.
So
if our viewers want to get a hold of you, what is the best way to do so?
like, where should we direct them? Do you have a...
Yeah, we have a free thing to offer. So if you go to yourpeacefulmarriage.com, there is a 5-day communication workshop there that your people can get for free. So I think that's a great place to go so that we can, you know, provide some value.
And then we're all over social media. Scott Landis and then Tawnya Landis, and it's Tawnya with a W, TAWNYA Landis. You know, we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything. So, but yeah, if you go to yourpeacefulmarriage.com, you can experience a, you know, free 5-day workshop, and let us know what you think of it. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from people that have done that program.
Awesome. Well, we'll join the program.
Absolutely.
I'm very curious to test it out, and then we'll share all your links and stuff as well. And yeah, it was so great talking to you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be on the show with us and sharing your story.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.